Good afternoon, world, and welcome to WCEG Network. I'm Anthony C. Aiken, co-host with Veterans Today Talk Radio, and we're so pleased to be back to speak truth into the community. And my co-partner, the person that's been with me now for the past 8 years, Herman Anderson, my good friend, frat brother, and all of that, will give us a little lead in before we get into our particular program. So, Herman, back to you.
Good afternoon, my friends, Veterans Today. This is WCEG Network, your worldwide community empowerment group. The topics and opinion of those of the show hosts and are not those of the show hosts and guests. WCEG Network. They are those of the show hosts and guests, not WCEG. I got it right that time.
Yeah, you did.
And you can there are several ways you can join us today. You can tune in to David Network, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and WCEGnetwork.com, Talk Radio. Those are options. We are also being archived at YouTube. So I am co-hosting along with my partner and my frat brother, Anthony C. Aikens. And today he's going to interview me and we're going to switch the show around a little bit. And so it's back to you, Anthony.
Thank you, Herman. And I just want to let our host know this has been a tremendous, tremendous 8 years of providing truth into the community and speaking good information for our veterans worldwide so they can go after things that they've earned, and that earning comes from the VA. We've served abroad, we've served in the country, we've endured every kind of weather and environment that you can think about. Yet we worked hard because we wanted to keep our borders free, not only for ourselves, but for our family and for everyone else. So today, we thought it would be a good idea to just do a good punt. Tuskegee to Savannah State. That's our alumni schools and good friends, frat brother, that we would talk a little bit about some of the things that were important for us during the past 8 years that have helped veterans. So before we jump into that, I know, Herman, you said you wanted to make a statement about something. So I'll punt back to you real quick.
Yeah, as you know, and as our listeners know, it's nice to kind of have put a boundary around how we gonna do this today. And one of your favorite phrases is "Freedom is not free.
Not free.
There's no free lunch."
No free lunch.
What we're gonna talk about is freedom is not free. There's no free lunch. And what do uh, what do you want your legacy to be as helping veterans and helping the community? And what skin are you putting in the game?
Yeah,
So,
I like that. What skin are you putting in the game? Because, the Herman Anderson that I know served our country with honor and dignity in the Air Force in Vietnam. A cost was paid for that. Those years that he spent affected him, but he needed to be compensated because of his service. He came back and he did tremendous work in corporate America, but in the meantime, he always kept in the back of his mind, of things that he needed to do to assist veterans. And that was the formulation of a nonprofit and a few other things. So his legacy is continuing to move forward. But Herman, I think I want to ask you a question right off the bat for our listeners to get somewhat of a feel for what we're doing. What is your passion and why are you so passionate about assisting veterans?
that is my passion. And as we have talked about it, and as one of the co-founders of my veteran organization, which is Veteran Helping Veterans. And matter of fact, we had an anniversary in September. We're 13 years old now. Is I'm a country my buddy Lewis Jackson, who passed away, and he was one of his favorite words. I'm a country boy from South Georgia. So I grew up in Dublin, Georgia. I'm a country boy from South Georgia. I went in the military, and it really changed my life. It uh, is in a lot of positive ways. So my commitment is to help veterans and their families improve the situation that you are going through. We all interested at different levels, uh, but my commitment has been the last 15 years is to help veterans and their families and to help the uh, community in general to improve situation where you are. Make even if you would just like to have information, make that available to you. And as through my organization and through working with Anthony WCEG Network, we had we have put out a lot of information. We've helped a lot of people. Uh, but I don't have current numbers to give you, but each each year the number increase in the amount of people we help, and we help them in several ways. One way is just understanding the VA system and navigating it. And really the VA system and the public system, which I mean, they are, if you happen to be a veteran and you're using the VA, but if you are using uh, private facilities or whatever, I mean, they are similar. So
Correct. Correct.
it's
Well, you know, the point you just made are just spot on, and something that you and I always concurred on, and we always discuss with our guests, is a simple phrase. All gave some, but some gave all. All gave some, but some gave all. I still get misty eyed sometimes thinking about that, having been in a war zone just like you. And we know that the individuals that didn't come home, you being in Vietnam, well, there were more than 56,000 souls that were lost that's documented. But what about the MIAs? What about those individuals that are still there that we don't know? They're silent. We don't know who they are, where they are. But they gave it all so we can still remain our freedom. You know, just think about it, Herman. I'm going to take you back to Vietnam. You were there, Agent Orange. We didn't know about that. All we knew that this particular chemical could be used to kill some of the foliage so we could fight better. Tell our listeners a little bit about the Agent Orange experience and what we had to deal with and try to educate our audience about the importance of getting in the Agent Orange database and understanding the diseases associated with Agent Orange that could be beneficial for them to go towards getting their benefits and compensations.
I mean, that's it's ongoing experience, and it's uh, you make a point. People, Vietnam veterans, Vietnam era veterans, and we are the old guys today. To not come up with a better term, and we we are past, and we are dying at a higher rate than the the younger veterans. And so it's first of all, it's the uh, getting the VA system to admit Agent Orange situation existed, establishing the database and going through the process with Congress and everybody to uh, have them agree to compensate Vietnam veterans, Vietnam era veterans that served in the Southeast, not only on boots on the ground in Vietnam, but in Thailand on boats and ships and all of that. And there are people my age today that is not aware of it. There are people that choose not to be a part of it, but it's an ongoing process, and it affects the veteran that was there on the ground. It affects their family. So it's to Vietnam veterans. It's 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 serious as opportunity that if you're not pursuing it, it's never too late to pursue it.
It's never ever too late to pursue it. I had to I was invited to give a talk, speech on Veterans Day about 2 years ago to the Atlanta VA hospital, which now has a new name of Cleveland, to honor the former VA secretary. But I had the honor to give a talk, and in the audience was a veteran in his 90s. And, seeing him in there with his daughter, and he's in a wheelchair, I focused on him. The reason I focused on him, I wanted to find out, here is a man at that age group, did the VA take care of him? He was in the hospital with his daughter that day because he was ill, and the VA never took care of him. He was in his 90s. He served in World War II, he served in Korea, and he never filed or was even told about the possibility of filing a claim. I was angry because here's a gentleman that gave all, but yet the system wasn't taking care of him. So we punt over to Vietnam, and we were just talking to you about with the Agent Orange. It took the VA years to come up with 14 to 15 documented illnesses that affected people that served in Vietnam or served in the area of Vietnam. They finally acknowledged it. Look at the number of soldiers that have died and the number of, I keep saying soldiers, I said service member, that died and how those illnesses affected their family. That's the passion that you and I have. As I sit here right now, I can feel my genes starting to boil a little bit because it is, to me, ridiculous that a system that was designed to help us refused to do so until years later and after so many deaths.
Well, just kind of like a loophole, not necessarily a loophole, but part of that situation is we in my organization, and I am a member of organization other than the one I founded. I'm a member of DAB, American Legion. In all of these organizations, we have veteran spouses that are now should be eligible to receive benefits, and they pretty much, actually just this week, I have 2 requests for spouses that husband died, and they need help applying for spouses benefit, and that should have been taken care of already.
Well, that brings in a subject that you and I talked about on the air, and we endured the caregivers thing. We both applied. It took years to get a response. And then we did get the response, it was negative. We found out through research that 88% of caregivers' claims are denied. 88%. That's documented in the VA documentation. But yet they're saying to you, please apply, and you do all of that. Well, I'm about to do a 3rd iteration of that. I've already gone through it twice, but I'm going to try it again, because if you don't keep fighting the system will win. And my wife and I followed step by step what needed to be done. And I want the listeners out there to hear this. Step by step, follow everything the VA told us to do. Even had a Zoom call, and I'll be specific, 13th of December of 2022. We had a Zoom call with a VA nurse to discuss the caregiver packet that we submitted. The very next day, less than 24 hours, we received a denial letter. Now, how could that be? How could that be? While we're conducting the interview, the letter's already been mailed for us to receive it the next day. So I'm going to put all that in the documentation again, to forward it, because it's wrong. And when we think about going back to the Agent Orange deal, the number of veterans that have high blood issues, thyroid issues, Parkinson's disease issues, blood problems, testicle problems, all of these things that are documented that affected our veterans, and yet the VA took years to acknowledge the diseases associated with Agent Orange. So listeners out there, please do it. Please get in that database.
Let's just highlight one particular one on that list that affect people like me and you, and it's prostate cancer.
Prostate cancer.
It's a high rate, and it's part of that Agent Orange list, and it's.
Herman, it's interesting that you state that, because two of my mentors, both retired colonels, both served in Vietnam as chemical corps officers. And today, both of them are suffering severely from prostate cancer. It's documented that these men have to go through that, have to fight for it, and it's wrong. Well, we don't want to be morbid, but we're just trying to give factual information that the bottom line is, for all of our listeners out there, please, if you had not gone to the VA to get into the Agent Orange database, lockstep and get on over there. If you can't get there, have one of your family members to take you over there. You have to take the first step. The VA is not going to come to you. You got to go to the
VA. My motivation is, as we talk about it, is to get veterans, to get people off the sideline, get in the game.
Get in the game.
And kind of we'll come back, but how do you get in the game? I mean, the people that this is the election season. So the people that are making decisions at the VA, the President of the United States, the funding for the VA, we always talked about the organization structure, accountability of the VA. All of that people that we elect to go to Washington has some input into that. So we need to make sure they are hearing us.
And you got to make sure they hear us. And when you take a look at Congress, and I'm not throwing stones, this is just facts, but you take a look at the majority of the people that serve in our government that make decisions are not veterans. So we need to make sure that organizations like yours and the organization I'm involved with, that we're vocal. We let these people know that their constituents need help. The constituents need support. And the only thing we can do is to keep them accountable by keep providing them accurate information in regards to soldiers and airmen and everyone that's dying from prostate cancer or diseases associated with Agent Orange.
So while we are in that in that neighborhood, a person that Johnny Crawford has a project.
Yes.
Black Vietnam veterans.
And I love it. I love it.
He has been on our show. He has talk to both me and you, and no, that's no, as I would put it, that's something I spend my time working with him on too, because it's a very unique project where he interviews uh, Black Vietnam veterans, and most of us, Black actually is Vietnam veterans, so we have Vietnam experience, and he really has some good documentation, some good historical data. I mean, I think the public, uh, his project is kind of funded by him, but it would be great if the public was more aware of it and
Aware.
he was able to really get the information out there.
Yeah, and another person that's doing something admirable is Pastor McGee with his uh, recent, approval by the Georgia uh, government about recognizing veterans, Vietnam veterans in the state of Georgia that have passed on. So
Yeah,
that's another form of recognition, and I'm so happy that his 2-year fight came to fruition, that this is going to occur. But we can move on a little bit past the prostate thing. The other thing of importance that you and I have talked about, that we found out from a lot of veterans, that they weren't aware of the process, and the process was ensuring that they had their DD Form 214 in the event that something did happen to them, that family would have sort of a roadmap that could assist them with getting their benefits and compensations.
yeah. And that's since we started 8 years ago, and since I started 13 years ago, the process, I mean, I mean, it's complicated, and it's it's hard to navigate, but it's in addition to that, it's changing very fast. And just kind of to talk about what's going on now with it, and the past is the past.
Correct.
But if take any veteran, and there are people like you that got your DD 4.2 on the phone. There are people like me that got mine in my drawer somewhere. There are other people that don't even know where that is.
Well, I keep mine on my phone just in case.
So, so you, I mean, now we are being encouraged to file claims online, and basically the the the, the touch part of it, the human part of it, is is very low, and that's really where it translates to. There are, I mean, the VA, the DA, the VA. I'll stay out of the Veteran Service Organization business, but the VA, the Georgia Department of Veteran Services, that they are supposed to have personnel to help veterans get your ID, get your 214. But what they're going to do is tell you to go to a website. So uh, that makes it very challenging
Very
today.
challenging. Very challenging. Yeah. A lot of older veterans don't know how to use a computer, are not in shape to use a computer, are blind and can't use a computer. So it's incognizant upon their family members, friends, or associates, or other veterans to help them. So we need to continue to push forward with information to let them know, yes, it's cumbersome. It's extremely cumbersome, but you can also go to your state agencies. Is that correct, Herman?
Yeah, the Georgia Department of Veteran Service and the VA has offices uh, to actually assist you with that, and so does the VSOs. They have it at a different VSO have it at different levels. Its bottom line is more of a challenge in today to really get in the system, uh, and it has always been, but I mean, technology and also the reduction in the human touch is more of a challenge today. And I mean, that's the way the system is headed. So I'm not sure it's my organization. I'm working on revising my processes so we can, I don't have answers, but getting answers where we have when someone requests a system to get that D214, even to do intake. Now you have your DD14, then the next step is intake to get into the VA system.
Yeah, yeah. And that's important, trying to get into the VA system. And one thing, in addition to the paperwork side, you're going to have to take the initiative to go to the VA to begin the process, to request an exam, especially if you have concern in a particular area. It could be prostate, could be thyroid, it could be high blood pressure, it could be diabetes, whatever you think it is that could be possibly associated with your illness. See, and one thing that veterans don't think about, and I say this because of the conversation I've had with them. You can recall, Herman, like I can, at age 20 when I was at Fort Benning and I went in for my pre-induction physical. I was then about 120 pounds lighter, had on some shorts and a t-shirts and sneakers and white socks. And when I left, the doctor stamped one sheet, ready for induction. One sheet. Well, you fast forward and you retire, and that one sheet is expanded to 2 volumes. 2 volumes. So if you have those 2 volumes, that is your baseline for you to use to go into the VA system to receive the benefits and compensations you earn, because those illnesses in those 2 volumes you didn't have them when you came in at age 20, 120 pounds lighter. So all I'm saying is understand, as we in the military say, rules of engagement. I know you guys say fly over the Air Force guys, but we said understand the rules of engagement. And then once you understand the rules of engagement, you can go into the system to start that process because you have the background material.
Well, I mean, add technology to the 2 volumes. And the 2 volume is not paper anymore. I mean, they're in archives somewhere. And what you're going to get is either microfiche, or you're going to get just an email with it all in one package. And you got to download it. You got to go through it. So it's all leading up to somebody got to know technology.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not only that, but there's another key factor that veterans need to know. Herman mentioned a couple of them earlier during his talk. One, veteran service organizations, VSOs. Veterans, we implore you to seek out, they become registered either through e-benefits or through My Healthy Vet, to request being a part of a veteran service organization that can assist you to the paperwork maze that you will deal with in the VA system. Who are those organizations? Herman mentioned Veterans and Foreign Wars, VFW, Purple Heart Association. What's the other ones, Herman?
VFW, American Legion,
American
DAV.
DAV. So these organizations, they are third-party organizations that do not work for the VA. Their goal should be and must be to assist you in understanding the maze that you will go through to get your documentations to the people that will be evaluating it for your disabilities. And that's important to understand rules.
That is very important. And it's also important that veterans understand Vietnam Veterans of America is one of them also. That all of these organizations are they're a membership organization. They they you walk in, they will help you, but in addition to that, membership is declining. So every organization out there recruit members. That's a fact. So you include that in your plan.
Yeah, a lot of them are declining because a lot of them are dying. A lot of those veterans from that era, Vietnam and World War II and Korean conflict, they're dying. But now,
Well, they are being run by people me and your age.
yeah, exactly right. But yet we have a much younger force now from, Grenada, Iraq, Afghanistan, and all these other conflicts. But the veterans now much younger. That's going to be
And
a system
also
very
that
long.
the transition process, from what I understand, talking to veterans today is better than it was when you get out of the military, as far as transitioning and helping you be prepared to apply for your benefits. I mean, it's just not disability benefits conversation. It transitioned into what the term we knew, the civilian life.
Correct.
So it's no, I would give the Veteran Administration some credit for improving it based on what I've been told.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to use the wrong word. We didn't beat up on them. We just wanted to make sure that the VA and our listeners, excuse me, understand that not only are we watching them, the VA, but as veterans, we demand support and we demand service. I've always been one to say that everyone working in the VA system literally works for the veterans, not the other way around. When a veteran, Herman Anderson or Anthony Aiken, goes to the VA, it's for a purpose. And that purpose is to take care of some disability or illness or something that they have that's associated with their service connection disability.
And it's benefits that we earn.
Exactly right.
And even our guest that I had 2 weeks ago is, me and you talked about it, less than 1% of us serve.
Less
So
than 1%.
we are special.
Less than 1%. I mean, I can talk to my friends, and well, sometimes I just look at my friends and I say to myself, could he have endured what we endured? And in some cases, I'm like saying, no way. They don't have the discipline, they don't have the passion, they don't have the toughness to endure what we had to endure to keep our borders free. And age 45, I'm in the fields in Bosnia at age 45, when everybody was back here having a good time on New Year's Eve. I'm out in the woods. So I gave a lot. and that's why it was important when it's time for me to retire, to make sure that I take care of myself and I take care of my family because of what we had to endure to serve that most people don't realize. Herman, let me switch the subject a minute of something that I know you've been involved with, especially in your community, and that's dealing with civilian courts. We know that a lot of veterans, homeless or not, have gotten themselves in different kinds of predicaments. And they go into a court system that don't understand what caused that veteran to do what he or she is accused of doing. And in most cases, they're sentenced harshly or not looked at to help them with their particular disability. What comes in mind is back in January of, I think it was 2000, a veteran was executed. The court didn't understand that he was a severe PTSD from Vietnam. That was never addressed. What prompted that person to do what he did? And as a result of their not understanding what PTSD was, he was executed. So why don't we tell the audience a little bit about how the veteran courts in Clayton County, Fulton County, or all around the country could help veterans who find themselves in a predicament and they need someone to understand themselves and what they're dealing with.
We have a veteran courts all around the country, as you say, and my organization helped start the one in Clayton County. Cobb County has one. Fulton County has one. In today's environment, quite a few counties has veteran courts, and what veteran court do is staffed with a judge and court people and volunteers from each branch of the organization that help both the judicial system and the veteran understand that veterans have because we are veterans, because of our service, we have a unique situation to deal with. And in working with veterans, it works out for everyone. People, I'm quite familiar with Cobb and Clayton. People that go through there are successful, and after they go through the process, the veteran, along with the volunteer, the judge, they have graduation, they sell whatever issues they were dealing with, and they pretty much move back into civilian life and keep moving. Just like any other citizen, you have to follow the rules.
Well, you know what? The reason that kind of prompted my mind, my beautiful wife and I yesterday were over at the old Fort McPherson, and had the opportunity to drive by two buildings that I think were tremendous. And these two buildings were designed to help the homeless veterans and to house homeless veterans. And the other one was to put them in a program to help them with some illnesses that cause them to be in that program. And it could be drugs, it could be depression, it could be PTSD, it could be psychological issue, whatever it is. But now they are in a safe environment where they can be treated. And I am so happy that many municipalities and states are now recognizing the importance of a veterans court, because that leads into another subject that we kind of like.
Before you go there,
yeah,
you just hit on a nugget of mine over at Fort McPherson, the domiciliary that you see.
Yes,
my organization has a special project with them. Once a quarter, we donate $500 to the people that are living there to buy whatever they need, and they help them in their transition. We've been doing that for 3 years now.
That's very good. That's very good.
Dr. Cooper. Dr. Cooper.
Yep. Dr. Anthony Cooper. Yep.
Helped me start it, and so that's that veteran helping veteran is just one of the organizations that's work with them over there. But thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we're doing this interview with you today, because you've been a foot soldier, even though you're an Air Force guy, but you've been a foot soldier for a while, out there trying to assist with information and bringing in people to your organization to provide information. And I'm so very pleased and happy that a couple of years ago, you asked my wife and I to be a speaker at one of your events because of our passion, a passion to support the veteran and the veteran's family. So that's commendable that your organization is doing that, because that dormitory environment really provides a safe haven for them to try and re-enter. And that, like I said earlier, led me into something else, is because if you recall, Senator Johnny Iverson, who is now deceased, from the state of Georgia, was a big advocate of supporting the suicide bill. The suicide bill really was prompted by the unfortunate suicide of a Marine in Houston, Texas, who had gone to the VA to get some support, but was not seen. And the only avenue that veteran seemed to have was to eliminate himself through suicide. So as a result of that, the Suicide Act became prominent. But the numbers that they quote, that 28 veterans per day lose their life to suicide, I think is only a scratch on the surface, because there's so many undocumented cases of suicide that are involve veterans. So, I think the suicide prevention thing that we talk about is extremely, extremely important, that we let our audience know that there's some assistance out there to help them.
I totally agree. It's extremely important. In addition, I agree with you. I don't think the numbers actually capture all of the situations, and we have the 988 number now that applies to both veterans and civilians. But I believe the suicide situation is like I say, I don't think the numbers capture all of it. In addition to that, if a person is suicidal, and it doesn't really matter whether they're a veteran or non-veteran. The country needs to respond to them.
Correct. Now, one of the things, Herman, that you and I were really passionate about, and when we started out and we're still there, and that is the treatment of our female veterans. We have an enormous amount of female veterans that are not getting what they deserve. And we implored as many female veterans out there to please, we implore you to go to the VA, to be seen, to get the compensations that you've earned. Whatever those issues are from you, from a female perspective, that you didn't have before you went into the service, you need to make sure that they're aware of it to take care of you, because you've sacrificed just as much as any male in the system, and you should not be second rated, second class, or anything. You should be getting the same compensation and recognitions and benefits as a knucklehead like Herman and I. So we're saying, please do what you got to do.
Exactly. And we encourage veterans that had uncomfortable situation when you were in the military. In that situation, you were hesitant to speak up, but it's never too late, in my opinion. So if you're out now and you're more comfortable, there's always time.
Well, I'm just saying, females out there, don't be intimidated by the rank and file. Do not be intimidated by the rank and file. Just because that person outranks you doesn't mean that person, if he's done something wrong to you, that you shouldn't report it. Report it. We need to get those kinds of individuals in power out of the system to protect you and to protect others. Just not females, but males too. But for those females that have endured unjust treatment, endured sexual issues, make sure that you report it, that we can eliminate those cancers in the system. We got to eliminate them. They can't stay in the system. So I implore you, Herman implores you, please do what you think you need to do to be served. And the reason I brought that up there was a female that I had the opportunity to support who endured 22 years of internal pain. 22 years of enduring a sexual situation that she was involved with. And she didn't know where to turn. And because of our show, I was able to direct her to a veteran service organization, a female veteran service officer that listened to her, And as a result, she received the final justice after 22 years. Like you said, Herman, it is never too late. Never too late. So if you find yourself in that kind of a situation, that environment, please go. Male or female, please go. Because males also have sexual situations that they keep hush-hush because the female officer outranks him, and he won't report it. And then he has another 10 to 15 years of sexual PTSD. So he needs to make sure that's addressed as much as the female.
So let's talk about today's Army. I mean, we it's about our volunteer Army, and when young people hit 18, there's a lot of opportunities or competition on what I'm going to do with my life. So, what are your take on considering the military as one of your options?
I believe the military, and having been in the system since I was like 18 years old, I think it would be very beneficial to help these young individuals establish some discipline, to establish some esprit de corps, and to understand too that to accomplish a mission, you work as a unit and not as an individual. The discipline point to me is extremely important because I see a lot of young kids that lack it. You can't say anything to a young kid now in the street. Your pants are down by your ankles, pull them up. If they were to do that in the military, there will be a nightmare. You understand? So by the time they get through with their training, 8, 12 weeks, whatever it is, he'll be a different person. And it's amazing to me that foreign countries have already been doing that for years. The Israeli army, the Pakistani army, women are involved. Young people are involved. And it helps with the establishing the discipline throughout the country, the discipline in themselves, the discipline and support within families. So it's a running effect. So I'm an advocate of young folks, male, female, to go into a system, not only to help protect our borders, because we're protecting them too, that they help protect the borders, but in the meantime, get some benefit from it through discipline, education, esprit de corps, all of that.
We are done partisan, and in today's environment, when you mention politics, people sparks start flying.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree with you.
yes.
Sparks are flying because a lot of the politicians have never worn a rucksack, or marched 10 miles, or lived in the woods, or understand what that male or female veteran has endured. They're paper pushers, and I'm not saying that derogatory. It's just facts. They've not done it. I mean, there's a person running for national office, president. I'm not going to call his name, but never served. It never served 1 minute. Yeah, he's going to be the commander in chief.
So I mean, so what I want to add to that is to veterans, our veterans, everyone need to be educated.
Everyone.
But to our veterans, it's a challenge to us to be educated, and these people that we are putting in office they're the one that's going to represent the 1% that's going to serve the country. So we need to have people up there that's going to listen to us.
Herman, you hit the nail on the head. People that's going to listen to us, and those that are veterans have some type of a platform that they can discuss the importance of supporting veterans. I can go back to January 6th. Wow, what a day. The 6th of January. But it took one former Ranger officer, Ranger, who's now a representative, to be vocal enough to understand the importance of what needs to be done. It took that one individual to have individuals that feel as though that they could, through their own ignorance or their own whatever, and I don't want to call names to identify them, but to be able to be bold enough to go in and try and kidnap a governor, be bold enough to go and kick in the windows and doors of our federal government because they disagree with ideology, that they disagree that the individuals that they thought should remain in office, and even though that person lost through the vote of the people. We need to be vocal. We need to stay in the political process. We can't sit on the sidelines. We got to be involved. Too much blood has been shed for us not to be involved with the direction of our nation. And that includes supporting the armed forces. When someone says to me, and I'm sure to you, thank you for your service, is that a cliche? Or are they sincere? Do they understand what Herman Anderson and Anthony Aiken and others had to endure? For them to understand and enjoy their freedom. So what I'm saying is, please, veterans, we salute you, we appreciate you, we honor you, but if you need the help, get it. Get it.
You earned it, we all earned it, and we got about 5 minutes left, but you almost just closed it. Let the audience know how they can contact my organization. My organization contact number is 404-996-5679. My email is bvhv3105@gmail.com. That's email bvhv3105@gmail.com. My voice number is 404-996-5679. Veteran helping veterans. Please contact us.
Well, Herman, I just want to salute you.
Thank you, my brother.
I want to salute you for your 13 plus years of leadership of an organization that you helped co-found. I want to salute you for your consistency in working with me over the past 8 years and providing truth into the community. But I want to even go back further. I want to salute and recognize Ms. Penny Rogers for her thought in coming up with a mustard seed entitled WCEG. And you and I were there from the beginning with her. And we want to salute her and her tenacity and her see-it-through attitude for this radio station to be recognized as a vocal point of support, not only for veterans, but there are other co-hosts out there that are doing tremendous things. And we also want to recognize Ms. Greer, who's been with us, making sure that we do things correctly. And what I love about her is her task in keeping us focused, because, we want to make sure things are done. And let's give a little kudos too, because as a result of Ms. Rogers and her tenacity, she's been named to the National Black Hall of Fame for her work.
Congratulations.
That's amazing. A mustard seed to the Hall of Fame. You can't tell me what hard work and God can't do. So we salute her too. Miss Rogers and Miss Greer and everybody in the WCEG Talk Radio family for us being where we are today.
Miss Greer is a veteran, and we make a super team. It's no, I'm an Air Force guy. You're in her Army, so no, she just tell me what to do and I do it.
That's the way the Army does it, right? But I also want to give a shout out to one of our friends who was with us for about 4 years, and that's Gustavo Juliao.
Yes.
I think about Gustavo quite a bit. He's an Army guy, a true patriot, a true soldier, and I know he's moved on into another area of profession, but I just want to acknowledge him for his commitment, his support, and hopefully we can bring him back one day to work with us either as a guest or being back on the panel, because he added a lot of credibility to what we do, a lot of credibility.
And what would be interested is, because of my organization, most organizations, we don't have the numbers, but over the last 8 years, it would be interesting to know how many people that we have caused to take some action, but it was just to get started. I know we have some stories where people waited 14 years and things like that, but it's
the impact.
That's what make it worthwhile, and that's why we do what we do.
And that's why we do it for free. We don't get any money for this. We get it because we're passionate of what we're trying to do and making sure that the veterans get what they deserve. So Herman, I know it's time for us to close out. I just want to say, man, it's just been tremendous. Your interview was awesome. I appreciate you, my brother, and I appreciate being part of the WCEG Network.
Thank you, my co-host, my frat brother, my HBCU alumni. We got a lot in common.
A lot in common. Appreciate you, brother, and look forward to seeing you in the next show. We got a great guest, by the way, an outstanding guest. I'll let a little sneaky peek. But right now, we're taking a look at Brigadier General Sheila Maddox Baxter. I'm sorry, to be our next host on the 18 October show.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Take care, my brother. Be well.
Thank you to all our listeners. Have a great weekend.